Alright, roundup video. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. I was reading my script I made a long time ago, and I was like, what am I talking about? Chaps and chapsises. Pants, I believe, are called chaps also, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. Take that as you will. I'm here to discuss movies again, in the form of a movie roundup. This is the 9th one, dude. That's pretty cool. The first film I'm talking about is Undertone. This movie caught my attention through its advertising and trailers. For some reason, horror films always have the most intriguing advertising. Think Weapons from last summer. The big gimmick that this movie was utilizing were the ideas of sound. Sound and the paranoia of what you hear. With that aspect of the film, I will say that it was kind of creepy and it left me feeling a little uneasy. The plot and characters and pretty much every other aspect of the film is pretty simple and surface level. The characters go through a list of scary sounding messages, and things get a little weird. The ending was very unsatisfying and left me quite disappointed. The film has a subtle build in its events. Seeing how this turns out and where it will go is very interesting. But the film and the creatives would rather explore that idea of the creepy and unsettling rather than having an ending that's a bit more explosive. It's very much a film trying to experiment with concepts rather than unfortunately being more compelling. It really does remind me of a film from a few years ago called Skinamarink. While Skinamarink I feel does a better job establishing a tone and an environment, this is going for something a little different in what it's trying to achieve. I don't know, I just wish there was more for me to chew on, or a scene and an ending that was stronger. Anyways, I'm giving this a light 6 out of 10, close to a 5. The next film I'm talking about is Arrival from Denis Villeneuve. This came out about 10 years ago. This was before Denis went in depth with science fiction like Blade Runner and Dune. However, even then, he just knew how to show scale and size. It's truly mesmerizing. This film, if you're unaware, is about aliens and essentially how we would try to communicate with them. It's a film that really takes the ideas of aliens to a philosophical level. People are freaked out and just questioning everything because of their presence. How the film plays with time and chronology of events are exceptional and wonderfully written. The characters and acting is wonderful as well. Amy Adams does a great job, and I feel for every character. Even the alien characters are well thought out. There are certain shots that have a curve to them, if that makes any sense, like a shot in the beginning. Amy Adams is walking through a curved hallway, visually implying and reinforcing this non-linearity. The curve of the aliens' language and how they perceive time is visually shown as well. I might be reaching a little bit, but I find it interesting nevertheless. This is a wonderful film with a lot to think about, and I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. The next film I watched was The Drama. This polarizing film starred Robert Pattinson and Zendaya as a couple who are about to get married. It's a cute and rom-com style film in the beginning that has a hard turn after something is revealed. This film is directed by Christoph Borgli, a director that I kinda love. He takes very socially strange and interesting characters and really gives them to life. Dream Scenario and Sick of Myself both showing off like narcissistic characters. This, while a little different, does feel very similar. Within The Drama, these are absolutely flawed and unlikable characters. I really think the reason this film was so polarizing was because it was advertised as something of a romance. Very much like a wedding film. Like one of those romance wedding films from the early 2000s. This is a film that has you thinking about dark and complicated material that I simply just love. I also love how it's just set along the tone of a wedding film. Wedding movies are overdone, formulaic, and meant to be just a comfort food to consume. And to just throw something really fucked up in the middle of that comfort food is so awesome, and I love it. The film is dark and funny with wonderful and socially chaotic moments. If you get embarrassed easily like me, then some of these scenes are just painful to watch in the best way possible. The acting and technicals are exceptional, and I cannot wait to rewatch this. I am giving this a 9 out of 10, and as of right now, I believe this is my second favorite film of 2026, just below Obsession. So that's that. The next film I'm discussing is Memento by Christopher Nolan. I'm always itching to rewatch movies that I love from my past, and as I get older, that rewatch list just gets older as well. I find it so fascinating rewatching films that really struck a chord with me 5 years ago. Obviously, this was one of them. I don't think it's that controversial to say Memento remains a classic. From the purposeful and intelligent storytelling and pacing to the beautiful music, this film really holds up. Memento tells the iconic story of Leonard, who cannot retain short-term memories, as he's looking for his wife's murderer. Leonard is a deeply fleshed out and realized character that acts on impulse while pretending to be disciplined and could seriously be dissected for hours on end. The ending is so good and puts it all into perspective in such a satisfying way. The opening shot of the picture in reverse is so perfect. It's one of my favorite openings. I absolutely love this film. I love that while the film is told backwards, we're still learning information and piecing a story together that can be followed truly in a genius way. What really holds it all together is the writing, with Leonard being such an interesting character. If you haven't seen this movie, what the hell are you doing? This is obviously a 10 out of 10, and it's part of my favorites list, actually. Next up is If Beale Street Could Talk by Barry Jenkins. I loved this director like 7 or 8 years ago. Moonlight and Beale Street were amazing back-to-back features that this director made. The director's level of empathy and almost gentle nature to a devastating subject is so powerful to watch in both films. From the realistic heart of the character Juan in Moonlight that shaped the main character in that film to be so complicated, all the way to the rightfully defeated character of Fonny in Beale Street. Barry Jenkins always gives a lot to think about and care about in his films. I haven't seen this film in almost a decade, and going back to it, I really loved how gentle Fonny's character is to the main character Tish. It's a true and innocent kind of love that me and my partner really found to be quite moving. All that being said, it makes the events that happen in this film that much more devastating. All the technicals from music, cinematography, camera work, all were so exceptional. I love the use of photography in some moments of the exposition. There's just so many great creative choices that I found to be worth watching in this movie. I genuinely love my time with this film, and If Beale Street Could Talk gets an 8 out of 10. The next film I'm talking about is Primate from last year. This film is about a monkey named Ben. He attacks people in more of a maniacal way though, because he's like evil for some reason. They say it's rabies, but there's like premeditation to his actions. I don't know. It's like a slasher style film, but it's a monkey that the main characters keep around as a pet. Remember Nope, guys? Like, maybe we shouldn't fuck with animals. Like, we should just kind of let them be. What I hated about this movie the most is that it was just boring to watch. The only fun kill in this movie happens in the first scene, and then everything else is just boring and so uninteresting. Like, Ben gets angry and wants to attack them, and they all just yell out like, "Let's get in the pool!" And they just chill there for like the rest of the film. Nothing is satisfying about the movie. Even the conclusion is just like, meh. Who honestly cares about anything in this movie? I could have fallen asleep and got the same outcome in the end. I give this a 3 out of 10 because there's worse films out there, I guess. And there was like that one interesting visual shot in the beginning. Get it out of my face. The next film I watched was Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die by Gore Verbinski. This is a very anti-AI film that honestly has a really fun energy. From the very beginning, there's a lot of visual intrigue and fun shots, with Sam Rockwell doing a fun and entertaining performance. The film follows like this ragtag group style on an aimless mission to stop AI. Which kind of sounds like the ramblings of a lunatic at first, but the further the film goes along, it's actually like a thing that comes true. The film splits into these little short stories all over the same theme, and are all filled with weird and over-the-top elements that again may seem unrealistic, but honestly it paints a sad and real picture of our world. The film is absurd and funny, all while having an underlying sadness of our future. It's pretty great on paper, but there were some things that I didn't think were perfect. Like some of the writing was not that great, and some elements of the story didn't fully make sense near the end, even though some of the editing tried to dumb it down for the audience. Like some stuff was way too open-ended for it to actually make sense, like in a satisfying way. Regardless of some of the writing problems and dialogue, the film is still a solid experience that I found to be quite enjoyable. The more I think about it, the more I enjoy it, honestly. So to be honest, I'm giving this around a 5 out of 10 for now, but it's strong, leaning towards a 6. The next film I'm discussing is Hokum. This is supposed to be based off of like some folk tale of a witch in a hotel or something like that. I don't really know. This film I did not like. The beginning showed a lot of promise with fascinating shots and intriguing visual storytelling. However, that faded really quickly into just a generic and cheaply shot with bad acting film. The main character was not cast properly at all. Whenever a scene was supposed to be like scary, I found it to be very humorous and out of tone. The main actor does a bad job here. I honestly feel like the writing is what does the bad job mostly, because that actor's been in some good stuff. The writing from plot to dialogue to just even the pacing and structure is honestly abysmal. The main character is such an asshole in the most uncharming way imaginable. He's just so mean to people for no particular reason. I understand he's like battling with like scars, I guess. It's like the creatives wanted to try a bunch of stuff at once in terms of tone and ideas, but didn't fully explore or engage with any of one element. The ideas with his family was not fully developed. The witch in the film wasn't fully developed. Certain relationships were just brought up and never fully developed. Hell, even the attempt of like a humorous tone wasn't even fully developed. It's just a mesh of ideas with awful horror cliches, all that just rubbed me the wrong way for an hour and a half. One editing choice I always usually hate in films are flashbacks. They usually annoy the hell hell out of me, simply because they think the audience is too dumb to realize what's going on. Now, this dumb film does it twice, because the filmmakers believe the plot is so complicated and so confusing that us stupid audience members wouldn't get it. So they do this obvious flashback to tell us information we already know. Whatever you say, buddy. This film is dumb and annoying. I'm so mad at it. I'm giving this a light 3 out of 10, close to a 2. The last film I'm talking about really isn't a film, is Melania. From the first sequence all the way to the end of the movie, it screams this boastful and tone-deaf message, which makes sense when you're the most ignorant group of people ever. I'm gonna be honest, I'm going in. From the very beginning of hearing this movie, I knew I wanted to tackle it, and when the reviews rolled in, I was so excited because people were just saying it's just as bad as it looks. What the hardest part for me genuinely was just getting through the film. From the beginning, there is nothing being said. No information worth giving is given. We probably get the cleanest shot of the entire movie right in the beginning, with the Trump estate in Mar-a-Lago. With that one shot alone, they are trying to visually indicate with the film an idea that Melania and essentially Donald Trump are both showing off. And with that idea, they are trying to say they are better than you. There's a lot of ways they show this within the film, but essentially, they do not think of average American people as people. To them, we are workers and slaves. And honestly, it's quite disgusting how they're trying to be flashy here. And that's half of this film, is just showing off status and wealth. Moving along, there were several music drops in the beginning that made no sense. I was just shaking my head in disbelief for like 2 minutes straight in the beginning. This film in question is produced by Melania about Melania. And if that's not telling over what her actual character is and what type of movie this is going to be, then I really don't know what to tell you. From seconds into the film, you know there's going to be no insight over any level of their lives. And there's going to be nothing honestly portrayed. The quicker you get that through, the experience will be a lot easier, I promise. Most of the shots of even just Melania walking around feel rehearsed and choreographed. There's honestly no telling what's genuine and what's made up in terms of real documentation. And this is supposed to be a documentary, by the way. A true documentary for this type of film is, in a way, supposed to be very hands-off. Something you just observe and then piece together with like a narrative within the process. This experience feels fake and fabricated in every sense of the word. After the abysmal introduction of the film that says and does nothing with its time, except like watching Melania just walk around, the first sequence that they decide to actually utilize their time with is fashion and outfits. This film feels like the upper class just spitting in the mouths of normal people, and they just thought that we would like that. What's kind of funny and kind of upsetting is that there are people who probably like this film. They probably loved being spit on and then just proceeded to clap at it. Yippee! Oh yay me! The Trumps feel like Kardashians in this film, and the only difference between Trumps and Kardashians is essentially power. They're both rich pricks looking for attention. That being said, the Trumps should not be and are not the Kardashians. These people have quite literally started a fucking war in Iran. In a particular scene near the beginning, Melania does a voiceover semi-describing what her goals of the film is. I know, how subtle. She describes the audience as the American citizens. And with that, it just feels like she's just above everybody and we're beneath her as she gets dressed up for a ball or whatever. It's specific type of vocabulary that's used purposefully. Not even 10 minutes in, they really did show the audience, with no subtlety, what this film is really about. We're rich, and we're gonna make a ball. And I feel like that's a very let them eat cake moment, you know? Can we all agree on that? I shit you not, the next 15 minutes after that of the film is just about fashion and designing the ball. The film just goes into how Melania likes to decorate the White House and play dress up. By the 20-minute time, I was wanting to not be in the room anymore. I feel like this movie knew that it had nothing to say. So from minute one, they were desperately grasping for something to talk about. Even with a trash documentary from years ago, What is a Woman? They knew you needed at least a thread line for a documentary. Something that takes the audience on a journey narratively. This is quite literally nothing. This could have been like a 30-minute little segment that they put on like some bullshit Republican news channel as like a time buffer. But they put it in a movie theater. They put this shit in a movie theater. This was in my movie theater, not my theater. In the middle of the film, she kind of just role plays as an official and pretends what she's doing is actually worthwhile. Don't really know, don't really care. I'd rather be watching paint dry on a wall, honestly. Trump is introduced later, and every moment with Trump feels like listening to like an abusive boyfriend that you know has red flags. Even from the beginning you knew, but he's still around. Later on, more towards the middle of the film, Trump and Melania are sitting down and discussing some bullshit, I don't really know. He discusses straightening out the nation. That word used specifically. It honestly gives dictator vibes, and it's baffling that the guy interviewing afterwards says like, "Yeah, we're grateful for it." Like I think he says like "thank you" or something like that. Like "thank you for spitting in my mouth." Like that's fucking nuts, right? Like I wasn't the only one that was kind of confused by that. The Trumps most likely are so used to people around them just kissing the ground they walk on, they probably fire everybody else. But like that shouldn't be the case, especially for someone who is an elected official that is supposed to serve the will of the people. This is fucking disgusting. By the end of the film, the whole point of it is just them reveling in the victory of the re-election. Melania says something along the lines of how she wants to remember it and enjoy it. With words like that, this film is just like masturbation material for them. And they have like the indecency to show it to the population. This film is just a fuck you, I win statement that has nothing to actually say. The rest of the runtime is about the Trumps being sworn into White House and like that's it. They do the ball. The part that kills me and is so funny is that there's a text at the end showing how Melania has done like all these wonderful things. Brother, you showed none of it. You could have showed me some of that during the film. From editing to presentation, this film gives boomer energy that is so unshakable. This is such a disingenuous piece of material that has quite disgusting subtext underneath. If you enjoyed this film, then please seek medical and psychiatric help. I'm leaving this with a let them eat cake out of 10. Like, I'm so fucking for real. Bring the guillotines out. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. The Melania film is, honest to God, not worth watching. But other than that, what did you think about these movies? Let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the future. Bye now.